a very warm welcome to Daily Dispatch powered by HSBC. I'm Priya Sheth, and joining me on this very interesting panel is experts from the space. We have with us Jasmeet Singh from CoutLoot, and we have Vinay Singhal from Stage. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us today. The topic of discussion is the vernacular app tapping into the regional play in India, because Bharat, as we all know, has become a core market for a lot of businesses. And of course, there will be apps, there will be opportunities that people want to tap when it comes to the regional space. So thanks so much for joining in today. I want to begin with you, Jasmeet, to talk a little bit about why you chose this as a big niche for yourself. Why do you think it's the core Bharat that you want to target with your app?
Yeah, for sure. So, if you look at India, as a landscape, we are not just one country. We're like 28 different countries put together in one country, right? So it's a very, very confused kind of a geography. If you might look at it, every 100 kilometers, the way we dress changes, the way we eat things changes, the way we wear things changes, right? And I've seen that this at scale with my previous role at Unilever, where I got a chance to go all around the country. So if you look at India, we're about like 1.3 billion people now, and only about like 300 or maximum about 400 million people would like to consume content in English, right? The other big chunk of it would want to consume or are actually more comfortable in consuming things in their local language. Why? Two reasons for that. Number one, India is a very early stage consumer market, right? So a lot of the things we're actually using or experiencing for the first time. And what better way to consume something in my language that I'm more accustomed to, right? So we always speak a different language at home, and we speak a very different language, when we're like in a professional setting. And as Indians, we're always more comfortable in, simplicity and things that we understand in a much more simple way. Right. So that's why we thought like, English to har koi kar raha hai, everyone's doing English. And, while our formal language is English, the better way to connect to users is actually the local language. And there's one interesting thing about India is that when two people speak the same language, there's automatically more trust, right? You're like, ye to apne यहाँ का hai. So that's something that we're trying to solve through commerce, because e-commerce or commerce in India is still very early, less than 15% of our penetration in e-commerce compared to India's internet consumption. So clearly there's a big gap. People still want to consume things in local language, want to experience new things in local language, and so that's the way forward. If you have to build in India and you have to penetrate in smaller markets, right? And people like you and me are like probably 10% of India's population. Right? Real India, or what we call Bharat, is actually nothing like you and me, and they live in small towns and small cities, and they have big aspirations and big dreams. So that's what it's about.
Right. Thanks for that, Jasmeet. I want to come to you, Vinay, to talk a little bit about how you changed the space when it comes to OTT and content creation. It's also a different ballgame out there when you're targeting the regional viewers. So tell us about your experience. What has been the key takeaway from the kind of interactions that you've had with your users?
First of all, thank you, Priya, for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. So I want to begin by saying that everything that Jasmeet Bhai said, that, and on the top of that, one step below is essentially a market of dialects. So everybody who looks at Bharat, everybody who looks at regional, so to say, or vernacular space, thinks of it from a language perspective: Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, Gujarati, and so on and so forth. Whereas where I grew up in a very small village in Haryana, 50, 60 odd houses. It's bordering Rajasthan, that part of the country. And we grew up speaking Haryanvi. It's not a language, it's a dialect, right? And during our research, what we figured was that in India, language is an urban concept. The moment you move beyond urban settlements, everybody speaks a dialect. Right. So even the saying also goes like हर 5 कोस पे बदले पानी और कोस पे बदले वाणी, ऐसा कुछ, there's something like that, right? कि कोस पे बदले पानी और हर 5 कोस पे बदले वाणी. So there's a saying like that कि हमारे यहाँ पे बोली बहुत जल्दी बदल जाती है, right? So we work on those बोलियां, those dialects of the country, and we realize that Bharat actually speaks them. There are 19,500 original dialects that exist in India, and about 800 of them live to the date. They are still being spoken actively. And about out of those 800 also, there are more than 25, 30, which are spoken by more than 10 million people in our country, right? So they're large enough, they're huge markets, there's a huge population that speaks them, and it's just that there is no one who caters to that audience. So our definition of regional was a little more hyper local in nature, and we said, let's go one step deeper in content, solve for hyper local, build a bottom up company instead of doing a top down approach, which has always been the content approach, right? Where, for example, in the PGC content, OTT content, Bombay makes the content, a film, and the entire country is supposed to watch it, right? It's always been top down, where we said local stories, local contexts, local language, dialects, and cultures can only be captured when we do a bottom up approach to building this company, right? So which is where Stage is a dialect based hyper local video entertainment platform is what we're building, right? So yeah, that's what we're doing, and it has been a pleasant experience. It has been a phenomenal experience. जैसे जसमीत was saying ना कि जैसे ही हमें हमारी भाषा बोलने वाला कोई मिलता था, ये तो अपने यहाँ का है, right? Think about it when it happens in dialect. कि जैसे ही मुझे कोई हरियाणवी बोलने वाला मिलता है, तो I'm like, अरे तो मेरे यहाँ का. There's a natural existing layer of community that happens on the top of it immediately. We don't have to create community. It just exists. We just have to allow them to kind of interact in the community in a community manner, in a community layer on our platforms. So that those are some of the unique things when you build for Bharat.
Right. Thanks for that, Renee. Jasmeet, I want to talk a little bit about the traction that you've seen on your platform. Give us some numbers in terms of how many users are you seeing on your platform? What's the kind of growth that you've seen over the last couple of months? Give us some numbers out there.
Yeah. So we are now close to 12 million users on the platform, more than 2 million MAUs on the platform. We have about 6.5 lakh seller stores or stores that are on the platform. They do almost about 70 crores of monthly sales. And, the best part about doing this business is that I got to know about India a lot more better. Our sellers come from cities that people like, you and me have not even heard of. Right. And that's the beauty. And, on the platform, what we've tried to do is, the problem in India's intrinsic, commerce space of bazaars is that, you go to any store in India, go to any retail store in India, you ask them, aapki problem kya hai? They'll say only one thing. They'll say sale nahi, demand. So demand is India's biggest problem. So what we've tried to do is, get these non-branded stores that are not in the non-grocery segment, so imagine like a bazaar store. Now, these guys are very small in nature and they usually just sell like hero products or like high selling products. Now, the problem is these guys can't make it on Amazon, Flipkart and all these places, right? And as Indians, an Indian businessman will always have, an aspiration to do a lot more. He wants to increase his business and technologies change that. And let me tell you one thing, and this is probably, Vinay might see more on ground. People in smaller town are much more tech savvy than people like you and me. They'll have like 100 editing apps on their phones. They'll have, thousands of, new softwares on their phone, and they are very good trials. They would love to try new things, right? So it's that aspiration, of a segment that we're going after. And so like last year, we helped sellers from 33,000 pin codes, to sell products online. Apart from that, our whole focus is making sure the sellers get sales. So 67% of all the sellers on the platform have got sales, and which boils down to a retention number of 42% on the seller side, right? So we're a platform that basically fights for a little guy, or basically gets a little guy on the street, to do e-commerce. And at the same time, making sure everyone's getting equal discovery, everyone's getting like equal sales. So that's something that we focused on. Our focus is very, very simple, to go after that guy, who wants to buy. And in India, generally people only buy, in like, especially the non-grocery segment when it comes to lifestyle. We wear 200 rupee t-shirts, we wear 400 rupee shows, and we wear 600 rupee jeans. That's pretty much the price point that India plays in. People in urban cities might go to like Nykaas of the world, or probably might go to Mintras of the world. The problem in smaller towns is that these platforms are available and their awareness is there. But the problem is, let's just say I want to buy a chandelier. Like, I'm just giving this as an example. Now, including me, I don't know the spelling of a chandelier, and I've been brought up in Bombay, right? And it's something that I'm not used in my daily language, but I do know what a Jhumar is. And so that's what India searches online. So you go on Amazon, you search a Zoomer, you won't get a chandelier. But you come on CoutLoot and you search Zoomer, you will get a chandelier. So what we've tried to do, as Vinay said, if you integrate the dialect, integrate the way we describe things, and we try to create commerce on top of that, distributed by the local stores. So there's one thing that every small store in India knows what to do. They know how to upsell a product. What they don't know is how to drive demand. So as a platform on CoutLoot, what we're doing is we're driving demand to these sellers, and then the sellers upsell by the buyers from local towns or small towns, live bargain, because bargaining in our society is, does two things. Number one, it's equal to discounting. And secondly, it creates trust, right? If a seller gives me a bargain, I'm like, yaar, ye to acha seller hai, yaar, isi se kharidunga agli baar. And secondly, as India, it's a price point market. We have an emotional win when we get like a certain discount on a product. Right now on Amazon,
Right.
there's like a certain percentage that you can get, but go offline, and this is how I've been buying even in Bombay. Like when I was in college, I used to go to like a store near my college where I used to buy shoes. I'm like, uncle, 600 rupees ka juta dikhana. He'll be like, yaar beta, ye 800 rupees ka hai, tumko main 700 mein kar dunga. Acha ek kaam karo, laal wala le lo. So that's how India does commerce.
Right.
So that's what we try to do on the platform. Yeah.
Right. Vinay, I want to ask you some metrics in terms of what kind of growth you've seen, the number of titles that you have on your OTT platform, specifically because it's Haryanvi. What's the kind of traction? So give us some numbers to tell us the kind of growth that you've seen.
When we were building this platform, there were 3-layer problem: demand, supply, and monetization. We were building a category first product, so nobody believed that there is anyone who's going to consume Haryanvi content or Rajasthani content or whatever, because it has never been done before. Supply side, the problem was that there is no movie industry that exists, before us in these dialects, right? And then monetization, everybody was like, Bharat ko kisi ne monetize nahi kiya hai, nobody will pay for this product, and so on and so forth, right? So demand, it has been phenomenal. We have more than 2 million downloads of the app in the time that we've been live on the Play stores, and just Android mostly. We have just launched our iOS app also, so I think numbers will start to grow even further from there. So there's a large enough market everywhere, right? The second, on the supply side, what we had done is we literally created and jump started an entire local Bollywood in Haryana. We call it Hollywood, fondly now. And the most satisfying part of the job, and I wanted to say this specifically in the numbers section, where more than 2,000 people today have jobs because of what Stage has been able to create in Haryana, a local industry. In direct, we've been able to create more than 2,000 jobs indirectly. These artists have gotten a living out of their art form for the first time in their lifetimes, and so on and so forth. Today we have 150 hours of library on the platform, which makes for about I think 1,000 plus odd unique videos on the platform. We have 10 originals, and we are now producing about 20 originals every year just within Haryanvi, and so on and so forth, right? In terms of subscriber base, the last part of the problem, the monetization. So we were free until April 2021. From April 2021 to now, which is about 10 months that we've been live, from fully free to fully paid app, we have almost about 100,000 paying subscribers. We will probably do 100,000 by the end of this month, and so on and so forth. So we are about 100,000 paying subscribers just from Haryana on our platform.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your insights and the journey of how your businesses have grown and what we can expect going forward. Thank you so much for your time. It's really been a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks.